square. It is technically the wrong color complex, but I don't think it makes that big a difference in this particular situation. So anyway, book recommendation, Dynamic Chess Strategy by Mihai Suba. He's not that organized. It's kind of like, the book is a little bit all over the place. You know, it's not like one game before the next, like lead up to a common thread. It just seems like it's a little bit randomly put together, but the content is excellent, and I really strongly recommend that. So here we're going to get in the center, and maybe rook e7. I should offer a draw, because I don't have much here. Tetrarch took it. Yeah, he's worse. I mean, but it's not like he's an easy player to beat, and I don't think I'm winning. I think I'm just better. But time is time. Let's take the draw and go on. Let's try to find a 15-minute game if we can. So, Tetrarch has a huge score against me, mainly because he's incredibly fast and good. So I'm a little gun-shy, but I'm not that comfortable here. He has some compensation. I don't think that my static advantage is that big a deal. So I think he's active enough that he's almost equal. Basically, I guess I could try rook c7, but it's not that much. Anyway, let's move on. Try to get a 15-minute game. Let's wait a little bit. And I still am waiting on Lichess. The administrators on that site haven't gotten back to me. I'm gonna, hopefully they send an email and okay us to go ahead and do Twitch over there. We'd like to get a little bit more viewership. So there's tons of players on Lichess, and I'd like to try that. I'm not used to the web-based browser, and it's funny, I click my kind of right-click my mouse a lot when I'm playing on it, and it like brings up this JavaScript type stuff, and it's just sometimes annoying when you're playing on a web browser. Okay, because I'm not, obviously I'm using a PC, not like my tablet or something. c4, knight c6. So what does Slaggy mean? Slaggy is a long story. It's just, to make it short, Slaggy was a name of my dog, but it wasn't his proper name. His proper name was Sage, and then he became Slage because he slobbered a lot. He was a huge dog, like a German Shepherd Rottweiler mix, and very large male, and he was just very slobbery. Like when he would eat, it was pretty disgusting and funny. But so he became, like, instead of Sage, he became like Slage, because slobber, and then he became Slagey. So slowly he became Slagey, and so that's the story with that. Slaggy is my... Then it became Slaggy here in Hungary because people can't say Slagey. When they see this in Hungarian, they say Slaggy. So I kind of started to become Slaggy. This is some kind of weird, basically some weird Dunst opening by White. No, it can't be a Dunst opening. The pawn's on c4. I don't know what you call it. But White is playing like it's, this bishop e3 idea in the Dunst opening. So, knight c2, and I could play knight g4 around here, but I think that just forces him back to b2. It would be pretty weird, like knight g4, bishop d2, queen b6. Wow, that's weird. Knight b2. I just saw a really cool line. Knight g4, bishop d2, queen b6, threatening mate, e3 or e4. Now, yeah, it doesn't really work. I'd have to play queen b6, e3 or e4, queen takes b2. I was thinking about sacrificing my queen there. I don't think this is really the most rational thing to do. So I think I'm going to just try to play normally. Leave his bishop on e3. How can we exploit this? Queen a5 maybe? Queen a5 is really going a little bit overboard. I think this just helps him. desperately trying to find some kind of refutation for his setup, but I think I'm just justifying it now. Now knight g4, though. Knight g4. I'm strongly tempted to play knight g4. I don't know why. Because I'm not sure it's good enough. But it probably is good enough now that he's played g3. I think we're fine. And queen b6... Queen b6 is going to walk into some kind of queen d5 type of stuff eventually. Queen f5. Queen c5. Queen b6. I guess we're just trying to induce a weakness. And then we'll go home, you know, more or less. At some point we're going to go home. We're going to play queen d8, you know, when he plays knight d5. So the thing with Slaggy, it's my poker handle on one site. And originally when I started the channel, I was going to do streaming of poker and chess, and I probably still will. But due to a number of things, I've sort of recently suddenly decided to cut back on online poker and focus on chess. So anyway, it's my main poker handle, and it's just a name that everybody calls me here with my friends in Budapest. So knight d5, queen d8. But it wasn't like maybe the most obvious name. I don't really use it associated with chess too much. Bishop g2, and now he has some issues with the c4, and I think that's okay for him, though. He's hanging his b2 pawn. Yeah, that's just not good. So if he attacks my knight, I guess it can go back to h6 or f6. Now, I've been talking, as I do sometimes when I'm either inebriated, which doesn't happen often, or very, very bored or tired. But I'm really just trying to entertain you guys. But I was talking, and I didn't even mention that this guy is a FIDE master, Ivan Yeletsky. And it's not often we get a title player in the 15-minute games, right? I mean, we should be like psyched about that. This time of day is a bit slow. I know, man. I was playing online poker every day this time of day for a few years, and it's quite different from the evening. Let's see. Knight e5, putting some pressure on the c4 pawn. Walks into bishop c3. That's not a big deal. But maybe in the end, you know, at the end of the day, are we sorry that we're putting our knight in e5, perhaps? Perhaps. I was thinking about the c5 square, actually. You know, maybe long term. But we could also play knight f6 and challenge his knight. It's kind of a tough call here. I mean, we can go to d7 and c5 as well. However, knight e5 is a bit more aggressive. I think he might do like queen e2. Bishop c3. It's notable that he didn't castle yet, because if he's feeling really desperate because he's down a pawn, he can go psycho postal on us and try to do like h4, h5, which shouldn't really be sound because, you know, his position's dubious. But knight e5, you know, I'm not really concerned about f4. You know, it's a very weakening move. So if he wants to go postal with the h4, that's fine. We're going to play knight d7, knight c5, where a knight finds, you know, the classic accelerated dragon kind of home there. But something worth mentioning is the idea of e6, of course, kicking out, you know, kicking out that guy. I mean, he's really bugging me with the b file, and b6 would be something I want to consider here. B6, does he have anything on the long diagonal? You know, like B6, F4, knight D7, bishop takes, king takes, maybe knight takes E7 type of stuff. Is rook B8 too slow for me? Actually, E6, I just realized, guys, that Mr. Yeletsky's bishop is not protected. So when we go E6, he's going to have a problem. Okay, here we go. So he's not protected. And I don't think that this is good for white. Check. I disabled check sounds. It's just too annoying. And this game, not over, but very, very bad position for white now. He has really no counterplay. And I have the two bishops as well. So it's pretty horrid. And okay, his king is fine on G2. So it's just the classic matter of technique here. Queen C7, followed by rook B8, putting pressure on the pawn. He has nothing against my king. The loss of his dark squared bishop is like strategically a disaster. So we're going to go home. I don't know if there's any benefit in going to F6 as opposed to G7. Sometimes this is something we ought to think about. I don't see anything wrong with it. It might come in handy, you know, to be able to play bishop E7. I could even play bishop E5. I don't really want to give him a tempo. And now knight D4 is coming back to D4. I'm going to be ready to play A6. Got off the long diagonal. Taking care of business. A6.
Draw?
Oh man, the guy offered me a draw. Are you kidding, dude? That's just ridiculous, dude. I have no comment. Bishop D7. Now comes the H4. Okay. I think here that H5 should come into consideration. When, I don't know, man, H5, G4, is he going to do that? Or I can let him play H5, because with the bishop on F6, he's like never going to be able to mate me over there. You can also just attack his C pawn, which is probably a good start. Let's attack his C pawn first. Maybe we can make him go passive with like rook C1. That's good. That's a good step in the right direction. No more pressure on the B pawn. And I don't want any dramatic changes in the position here, like giving up 2 queens for the rook. I'm very stable. So, it doesn't seem like he has any real chances. Can I do anything like active here? Goblin Rabble Master, you can't resist. Yeletsky offered me a draw, man. It's just, he's purposely trying to insult me, I guess. I don't know. You're clear pawn down with a worse structure. And knight and bishop, it's just like, what? We already talked about the Anand thing where he said he didn't offer a draw against this Hungarian guy because he was embarrassed. I mean, what? You mean you were too good to offer a draw? Let's see. H5, dude. G4. Pawn takes G4. Bishop takes G4. King G7. H5. Rook H8. Pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn. And like E6 is hanging at the end there. So I'm thinking I'm going to let this guy... Well, I really need to have a plan, though. B5, I'm not... I was thinking if I could play Queen E5, Queen C5, Queen E5 maybe. Just staying kind of active in the center, but it's not really a plan. We're going to need to do something a little faster. H5, G4, can he really do that? Pawn takes G4, Bishop takes G4. Maybe.